Leo, stop waiting for permission, do this instead. If you are a Leo who has been holding back, waiting for someone to open the door for you, waiting for the right moment, waiting for a sign that it is finally your turn, this is that sign. Right now, today, you have spent far too long standing at the edge of your own life, watching others step forward while something inside you whispers that you are meant for more. And that whisper is not wrong. But here is the truth nobody tells you. Nobody is coming to give you permission. Nobody is going to tap you on the shoulder and say it is time. The world does not work that way, especially not for someone born under your sign. You were built to lead, built to create, built to shine. But somewhere along the way you started dimming your own light because you thought it was safer. You thought being small would protect you. You thought waiting would eventually pay off. It has not. And deep down you already know that. So what do you do instead? That is exactly what we are going to cover today. 10 practical, honest, and powerful shifts that will change everything for you. Not next year, not next month, starting now. Stay with me through every single one, because the last few will hit harder than anything you have heard in a long time. And there is one shift in particular that most Leos never even consider. But it changes the entire game. Tip 1. Stop treating your own desires like they need approval. There is a pattern that runs deep in the Leo spirit, and it is one of the most misunderstood things about your sign. People see the confidence, the warmth, the natural ability to command a room, and they assume you never doubt yourself. They assume you always know what you want and you go after it without hesitation. But the truth is far more complicated than that, because underneath that bold exterior, there is a part of you that has been trained to seek validation before you allow yourself to want something. You learned it early. Maybe it was a parent who made you feel like your dreams were too big. Maybe it was a friend who made you feel guilty for wanting more. Maybe it was a partner who subtly taught you that your desires were selfish, that wanting things for yourself made you a bad person. And so you develop this habit. Before you pursue anything, you check with everyone around you first. You ask if it is okay. You look for signs of approval. You wait until someone else says yes before you say yes to yourself. And here is what that does to a Leo over time. It slowly drains the fire out of you. It turns your natural confidence into hesitation. It makes you second-guess everything from small daily choices to the biggest decisions of your life. You start living in a constant state of waiting for the right reaction from someone, waiting for external proof that you are allowed to want what you want. And the longer you wait, the more disconnected you become from your own instincts. Your gut tells you one thing, but you override it because nobody has confirmed it yet. This is the first and most important shift you need to make. You need to stop treating your own desires like they require a permission slip from the outside world. When something lights you up inside, when an idea excites you, when a goal makes your heart beat faster, that is your signal. That is your permission. You do not need someone else to approve it. You do not need a committee to vote on it. You do not need to wait until everyone around you is comfortable with your ambition before you take the first step. This does not mean you become reckless. It does not mean you ignore the people you love or stop considering how your choices affect others. It means you stop putting your own life on hold because you are afraid someone might not like the direction you are heading. It means you trust yourself enough to move forward, even when the people around you do not fully understand why. Because the reality is, most people will never fully understand your fire. That is not their job. Their job is to live their own lives. Your job is to live yours. And you cannot do that if you are constantly waiting for someone else to give you the green light. Starting today, practice making decisions based on what feels right to you, not what looks right to others, not what earns the most praise, not what keeps the peace. What feels true? What feels alive? What feels like you? That is where your power lives. And every time you honor it, you get a little bit more of yourself back. Tip 2. Reclaim the energy you have been giving away for free. Leos are generous by nature. You give your time, your attention, your warmth, your creativity, your loyalty, often without being asked. And that generosity is one of your greatest gifts. But there is a shadow side to it that most Leos do not recognize until the damage is already done. You give too much to people and situations that give nothing back. You pour energy into relationships where you are the only one showing up. You invest time into projects that drain you because someone else convinced you it was the right thing to do. You say yes when every cell in your body is screaming no, because you do not want to disappoint anyone. And then you wonder why you feel so tired, why you feel so empty, why the fire that used to burn so brightly inside you has been reduced to a flicker. It is not because something is wrong with you. It is because you have been giving away your energy for free to people and places that do not deserve it. This is not about becoming selfish. This is about becoming strategic. There is a massive difference between being generous and being depleted. Generosity comes from overflow. It comes from a place of fullness, where you have so much that sharing feels natural and effortless. Depletion comes from giving what you do not have. It comes from pulling energy out of your own reserves because someone else needs it, and you feel responsible for filling their cup even when yours is bone dry. If you are honest with yourself right now, you probably know exactly where this is happening in your life. There is a relationship that takes more than it gives. There is an obligation that drains you every single time. There is a pattern of overgiving that has become so normal you do not even question it anymore. It is time to question it. It is time to look at where your energy is going and ask yourself a very simple question. Is this feeding me, or is this just feeding off me? The answer will not always be comfortable. Sometimes you will realize that people you care about deeply are the ones draining you the most. Sometimes you will see that commitments you thought were important are actually just habits you have been too afraid to break. But the discomfort of that realization is nothing compared to the slow death of living in constant depletion. You were not built to run on empty. You were built to burn bright. And you cannot do that if you keep handing your fuel to everyone else. So start here. This week, identify one place where you are giving energy that is not being returned. Just one. And create a boundary around it. It does not have to be dramatic. It does not have to be confrontational. It just has to be real. Protect your fire. It is the most valuable thing you have. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. Stop performing strength and start actually building it. There is a version of strength that Leos are very good at performing. It looks like having all the answers. It looks like never breaking down. It looks like smiling through pain and making everyone around you believe that everything is fine. And for a while, that performance works. People admire you for it. They lean on you because of it. They see you as the strong one, the stable one, the one who always holds it together. But here is the problem with performing strength. It is exhausting, and it is hollow, because real strength is not about pretending you are unbreakable. Real strength is about knowing you can break and choosing to rebuild anyway. Real strength is about being honest enough to say I am struggling and brave enough to keep going at the same time. When you perform strength, you cut yourself off from the very things that actually make you stronger. Vulnerability, honesty, connection, asking for help, admitting that you do not have everything figured out. These are not weaknesses. They are the raw materials of genuine resilience. And you have been avoiding them because somewhere along the way, you decided that a Leo is not allowed to be soft. That showing any crack in the armor would cause everything to collapse. But the opposite is true. The cracks are where the real light comes in. The moments where you let yourself be fully human are the moments where you connect most deeply with the people around you. The moments where you admit you need support are the moments where the strongest relationships are formed. Think about the people in your own life who have earned your deepest respect. Chances are, they are not the ones who pretended to be perfect. They are the ones who showed you who they really were. The ones who were brave enough to be imperfect in front of you. The ones who let their guard down and trusted you with the truth of their experience. That kind of honesty takes more courage than any performance ever could. And it builds the kind of bonds that performance never will. So stop performing. Stop pretending. Stop wearing the mask of invincibility when what you really need is to take a breath and be real. You do not lose respect by being honest about your struggles. You gain something far more valuable. You gain authenticity. And authenticity is the foundation of the kind of strength that actually lasts. Not the brittle, exhausting kind that cracks under pressure. The deep-rooted, unshakable kind that comes from knowing exactly who you are, flaws and all, and standing in that truth without apology. This week, let someone see the real you. Not the polished version. Not the highlight reel. The real, messy, complicated, beautifully imperfect you. Watch what happens. You might be surprised at how much lighter you feel when you finally put the performance down. Tip 4. Let go of the version of you that everyone else built. There is a version of you that exists in other people's minds. It is the version they created based on what they needed you to be. The strong one, the funny one, the reliable one, the one who always shows up, the one who never complains, the one who puts everyone else first. And over time you started living as that version. Not because it was truly you, but because it was expected. Because it was easier. Because stepping outside of that box meant risking rejection, and rejection is one of the hardest things for a Leo to face. But here is what happens when you live as the version other people built. You lose touch with the version you actually are. Your real preferences get buried under layers of expectation. Your real voice gets drowned out by the noise of other people's needs. Your real dreams get pushed to the back of the line because you are too busy fulfilling the role that was assigned to you. And eventually you wake up one day and you do not recognize yourself. You look in the mirror and you see someone who is playing a part. Someone who has been so focused on keeping everyone else happy that they forgot what makes them happy. Someone who has been so committed to the character that they lost the person underneath it. This is a turning point. This is the moment where you get to choose. Do you keep playing the role? Or do you start writing your own script? Letting go of the version other people built does not mean you stop caring about people. It does not mean you become cold or distant or self-absorbed. It means you start showing up as who you actually are, not who everyone expects you to be. It means you start making decisions based on your values, not the values that were handed to you. It means you stop apologizing for the parts of yourself that do not fit neatly into other people's plans. This is uncomfortable work. There will be people who are confused by the change. There will be people who resist it because the old version of you was more convenient for them. There will be moments where you question whether you are making a mistake, whether it would be easier to just go back to the way things were. But you cannot go back. Because once you see the cage, you cannot pretend it is not there. Once you feel the difference between performing and being, you cannot unsee it. So let the old version go. Thank it for protecting you when you needed protection. And then step into who you are becoming. That version is bigger, braver, and more alive than anything anyone else could have imagined for you. Trust the process. Trust yourself. The real you is worth meeting. Tip 5. Stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating momentum. If there is one trap that catches more Leos than any other, it is this one. The belief that there is a perfect moment out there somewhere. A magical window of time when everything aligns, when the conditions are ideal, when the risk is minimal and the reward is guaranteed. You have been waiting for that moment. Maybe for months. Maybe for years. Maybe for so long that the dream itself has started to feel distant, like something that belongs to a younger version of you. But here is the truth about perfect moments. They do not exist. They never have. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are not the people who waited for perfect conditions. They are the people who started in imperfect conditions and built momentum along the way. Momentum is the most underrated force in the universe. It does not require perfection. It does not require certainty. It does not even require confidence. All it requires is movement. One step, one action, one small decision to stop thinking about what you want and start doing something about it. And once that momentum starts building, it feeds itself. The first step leads to the second leads to the third, and before you know it, you are moving forward with a force that would have been impossible to generate from a standing position. This is especially important for Leos because your sign is wired for action. You are a fire sign. You are meant to move, to create, to express, to build. But fire cannot burn without fuel. And movement is the fuel that keeps your inner fire alive. When you sit still for too long waiting for the perfect moment, your fire starts to die. Your motivation fades. Your confidence shrinks. And then when the opportunity does come, you are too depleted to seize it. Here is what most people do not understand about momentum. It does not require a grand gesture. It does not require you to overhaul your entire life in a single afternoon. It requires one honest step in the right direction. That is it. One decision that moves you closer to who you want to become. And then another one the next day. And another one the day after that. The magic is not in the size of the step. The magic is in the consistency of the movement. Small steps taken daily will always outperform massive leaps taken once a year. So stop waiting. Whatever it is you have been putting off, take one small action toward it today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Send the message, start the project, have the conversation, make the call, sign up, show up, do the thing you have been telling yourself you will do someday, and make someday today. The moment will never be perfect, but the momentum you create right now will be more powerful than perfection ever could be. You do not need everything to be lined up. You just need to start. The rest will follow. It always does for a Leo who is in motion. Tip 6. Embrace discomfort as a sign that you are growing. Here is something most people will not tell you. Discomfort is not a warning sign. It is a growth sign. Every time you feel uncomfortable, every time your stomach tightens, every time your mind starts screaming at you to go back to what is safe and familiar, that is your signal that you are expanding, that you are pushing past an old limit, that you are becoming someone you have never been before. But most Leos misread this signal. They feel the discomfort and they interpret it as danger. They assume that if something feels hard, it must be wrong. That if a decision makes them anxious, it must be the wrong decision. That if a path feels uncertain, it must be the wrong path. And so they retreat. They go back to what is comfortable. They choose the familiar over the unknown because the familiar feels safe, even when it is slowly suffocating them. But comfort is not the same as safety. Staying in a situation that no longer fits you is not safe. It is stagnant. And stagnation is the real danger for a Leo. Because your sign is designed for expansion. You are meant to grow, to evolve, to push boundaries, to reach for things that are beyond your current grasp. And none of that happens inside your comfort zone. Every significant change you have ever experienced in your life came with discomfort. Learning to walk was uncomfortable. Starting a new relationship was uncomfortable. Taking on a new challenge was uncomfortable. And yet, every single one of those experiences made you stronger, wiser, and more capable than you were before. Discomfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is the enemy. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. When you avoid growth, you avoid your own potential. And when you avoid your own potential, you end up living a smaller life than you were meant to live. Starting today, reframe how you think about discomfort. When it shows up, do not run from it. Do not numb it. Do not distract yourself from it. Instead, lean into it. Get curious about it. Ask yourself what is on the other side of this feeling. Because here is what you will discover when you start paying attention. The things that make you most uncomfortable are almost always the things that matter most. The conversation you are avoiding, it matters. The change you are resisting, it matters. The risk you are too afraid to take, it matters. Your discomfort is a compass, pointing you directly toward the areas of your life that are begging for your attention and your courage. The answer is almost always the same. On the other side of discomfort is the version of you that you have been waiting for. The more courageous version, the more honest version, the version who is not afraid to take up space and live fully. That version exists, and discomfort is the bridge that takes you there. Walk across it, even if your hands are shaking, even if your voice is trembling. Walk across it anyway. Tip 7. Release the need to control every outcome. Leos like control. You like to know what is coming. You like to have a plan. You like to feel prepared for every scenario, every conversation, every possibility. And on the surface, this looks like responsibility. It looks like maturity. It looks like someone who takes life seriously and refuses to leave things to chance. But underneath that need for control is something much deeper. Fear. The fear that if you let go, everything will fall apart. The fear that if you are not managing every detail, something will go wrong. The fear that the people you love will suffer because you were not vigilant enough, strong enough, present enough to prevent it. And that fear drives you to grip tighter, to plan more, to worry more, to exhaust yourself trying to anticipate every possible problem before it happens. But here is what all that control actually costs you. Costs you peace. Costs you presence. It costs you the ability to enjoy what is right in front of you because you are too busy worrying about what might go wrong next. It costs you relationships because people can feel when you are trying to control them, even when you are doing it out of love. It costs you health because carrying the weight of everything on your shoulders is a burden that your body was never designed to bear alone. And the hardest truth of all is this: you were never in control in the first place. The illusion of control is just that, an illusion. You cannot prevent every bad thing from happening. You cannot guarantee every outcome. You cannot shield everyone you love from pain. No matter how hard you try, what you can do is trust. Trust yourself to handle whatever comes. Trust the people around you to carry their own weight. Trust that the universe has a way of working things out, even when you cannot see the plan. This does not mean you stop caring. This does not mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you loosen your grip just enough to let life breathe. It means you stop trying to write the ending before the story has unfolded. It means you allow room for surprise, for change, for things to go differently than you expected. And trust that different does not always mean worse. Sometimes different means better. Sometimes the plan you did not make is better than the one you did. Sometimes the detour leads somewhere more beautiful than the original destination. But you will never know that if you keep gripping the steering wheel so tightly that your knuckles turn white. Let go. Not of your standards. Not of your values. Not of your love. Let go of the need to control every single outcome. And watch how much more space you create for the things that actually matter. Tip 8. Start speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. There are things you have been holding inside. Things you have wanted to say for a long time but could not find the words or the courage or the right moment. Conversations you have rehearsed 1,000 times in your head, but never had in real life. Feelings you have swallowed because you were afraid of how they would be received. Truths you have buried because speaking them out loud felt too risky, too vulnerable, too dangerous. And every time you swallowed one of those truths, a part of you got smaller. Not physically, spiritually, emotionally. The kind of shrinking that nobody can see from the outside, but you feel it constantly from the inside. It is the feeling of living with a gap between who you are and what you show the world. A gap between what you feel and what you express. A gap between the truth and the silence. For a Leo, this kind of gap is especially painful because your sign is built for expression. You are designed to speak, to create, to share, to put what is inside you out into the world. When you suppress that impulse, when you hold back what needs to be said, you are going against your own nature. And that creates a pressure that builds over time. It builds until it comes out sideways. In frustration, in resentment, in passive behavior that confuses the people around you because they cannot understand why you are upset when you never told them what was wrong. So here is the shift. Start speaking your truth. Not aggressively, not with the intention of hurting anyone, but honestly, directly, clearly. Say what you mean. Ask for what you need. Express how you feel without filtering it through a dozen layers of politeness and people-pleasing. Will it be comfortable? No. Will your voice shake the first few times? Probably. Will some people be surprised or uncomfortable or even upset? Maybe. But that is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to honor what is true for you. And every time you do, something remarkable happens. The gap closes a little bit more. The pressure releases. The energy that was trapped inside you starts to flow again. And the people who are meant to be in your life will not run from your truth. They will move closer to it. Because truth is magnetic. It draws the right people in and it filters the wrong people out. And both of those outcomes are gifts even when they do not feel like it at first. So find one truth you have been holding back. Just one. And let it out. You do not have to deliver it perfectly. You do not have to have all the right words. You just have to be honest. That is enough. It has always been enough. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Tip 9. Invest in yourself without guilt or justification. There is a deeply rooted belief that many Leos carry without even realizing it. The belief that investing in yourself is somehow selfish. That spending time, energy, or resources on your own growth and happiness is only acceptable if everyone else's needs have been met first. And since everyone else's needs are never fully met, your needs keep getting pushed to the bottom of the list. You take care of the family. You show up for the friends. You handle the responsibilities. You manage the crises. You support the dreams of people around you with a loyalty and dedication that is truly remarkable. And then, when there is a sliver of time or energy left over, maybe you think about yourself. Maybe, if it is not too selfish, if nobody needs anything, if you can justify it somehow, But this is the pattern that is slowly draining your vitality. This is the pattern that makes you feel like you are running on fumes while everyone else around you is thriving on the energy you gave them. And it needs to stop. Not because you should care less about others, but because you cannot pour from an empty cup, and your cup has been empty for longer than you want to admit. Investing in yourself is not selfish. It is essential. It is the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. When you are nourished, when you are rested, when you are growing, when you are engaged in things that light you up, you show up differently. You show up with more patience, more creativity, more warmth, more energy, more of the things that make you the kind of person everyone wants to be around. But when you neglect yourself, when you skip your own needs to meet everyone else's, you show up depleted, resentful, short-tempered, going through the motions without any real fire behind them. And that does not serve anyone. Not you, not the people you love, not the life you are trying to build. So start investing in yourself without guilt and without justification. You do not need a reason. You do not need permission. You do not need to wait until everyone else is taken care of first. Take the class that interests you. Read the book that calls to you. Start the practice that feeds your spirit. Create space in your day for things that have no purpose other than making you feel alive. And when the guilt shows up, because it will, let it pass through you without giving it power. The guilt is not wisdom. It is conditioning. It is the voice of every person and every system that benefited from you putting yourself last. That voice does not get to run your life anymore. You do. And the best thing you can do for the people you love is to show them what it looks like to take care of yourself unapologetically. When you invest in yourself, you teach the people who are watching you that they are allowed to do the same. Your children see it. Your friends see it. The people who look up to you see it. And they learn from it in ways that no lecture ever could. You become living proof that it is possible to love yourself and love others at the same time. That taking care of yourself does not mean turning your back on the world. It means turning toward yourself with the same generosity and compassion you have always offered everyone else. That is not selfishness. That is leadership. And leadership is what you were born for. Tip 10. Decide that you are done waiting and start living like it. Everything we have talked about today comes down to one single decision. The decision to stop waiting. Waiting for permission. Waiting for validation. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting for someone to recognize your worth. Waiting for life to get easier before you start living it fully. You have been waiting, Leo. And I understand why. The world taught you that good things come to those who wait. That patience is always a virtue. That if you just hold on long enough, your turn will come. But your turn is not something that comes to you. It is something you create. It is something you claim. It is something you step into with both feet, even when the ground beneath you feels uncertain. And that decision, the decision to stop waiting, is not something you make once. It is something you make every single day. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can wait for motivation, or you can create it through action. You can wait for clarity, or you can find it through movement. You can wait for confidence, or you can build it through doing the things that scare you. Every single day is a new opportunity to choose living over waiting. And it starts with the smallest things. It starts with how you talk to yourself in the morning. It starts with how you respond to challenges. It starts with whether you move toward what you want or away from what you fear. Because those small daily choices compound over time. They add up. They build upon each other until one day you look back and realize you are living a completely different life than the one you were living 6 months ago. Not because anything magical happened, but because you made a decision and you honored it one day at a time, one choice at a time, one moment at a time. And here is what makes this especially powerful for a Leo. When you commit to a direction, when you decide with your whole heart that you are done waiting, something shifts in the energy around you. Opportunities start appearing. People start responding differently. Doors that seemed locked suddenly open. Not because the universe was withholding them before, but because you were not ready to walk through them. Readiness is not something you feel. It is something you decide. And once you decide, the world rearranges itself to meet your commitment. This is your moment, Leo. Not next week. Not when things settle down. Not when you feel ready. Now, right now. The fire inside you has been patient long enough. It has been dimmed long enough. It has been contained and managed and suppressed long enough. Let it burn. Let it grow. Let it light up every corner of your life that has been sitting in darkness. You do not need anyone's permission to be fully alive. You do not need anyone's approval to chase what sets your soul on fire. You do not need to wait for a sign from the universe when you are the sign. You are the signal you have been waiting for. So stop looking outside of yourself for what has been inside of you all along. The courage is already there. The vision is already there. The strength is already there. It has always been there. You just need to stop waiting for the world to notice it and start living like you already know it is true. Leo, if you have stayed with me through every word of this, I want you to know something. You did not find this by accident. There is a reason you are here right now, in this moment, hearing these words. Something inside you is ready to shift. Something inside you has been asking for this quietly, persistently, for longer than you probably realize. And the fact that you are still here, still listening, still open, that tells me everything I need to know about you. You are not someone who gives up easily. You are not someone who settles for a life that does not match the fire inside you. You are someone who is ready, truly ready, to step into the fullness of who you are. Everything we talked about today is within your reach. Reclaiming your energy, speaking your truth, investing in yourself, letting go of control, embracing discomfort, building real strength instead of performing it, releasing the version of you that other people built, creating momentum instead of waiting for perfection. These are not abstract concepts. They are daily practices, and every single one of them is available to you right now. Not when you are a different person, not when your circumstances change. Right now, exactly as you are. The journey ahead of you is not always going to be easy. There will be days when the old habits pull you back. Days when the people around you do not understand the changes you are making. Days when you question whether you are strong enough, brave enough, worthy enough to live the life your heart is calling you toward. On those days, I want you to remember this. You have survived every single difficult day you have ever faced. Every one. And you are still here. Still standing. Still searching for something more. That alone is proof of your strength. That alone is evidence that the fire inside you cannot be extinguished, no matter how many times the world tries to put it out. You have more power than you have been using. You have more wisdom than you have been trusting. You have more fire than you have been showing. And the world needs all of it. Not the dimmed version. Not the polished version. Not the version that fits neatly into the boxes other people made for you. The real version. The full version. The version that walks into a room and changes the energy just by being present. That version is you. It has always been you. And it is time you started living like it. Every single day, without apology, without permission, and without looking back. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift. Or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.